Hello, everyone. Welcome to Moons of Ascension. I'm your host, Jen Berryhill. And joining me today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Bobbie Jo Kuhl. And Bobbie Jo is a psychic medium, tarot reader, channeler, musician, energy sound therapist, and is the owner and event planner for the StardustFest, aka Spiritual Gangsta. She also facilitates several different types of guided meditations. She experienced a powerful initiation with Ascended Master Thoth in 2014, which led her through countless rabbit holes and connected her with many amazing people in the spiritual community. Bobbie Jo has actively been studying the spiritual arts for several years and continues to share her gifts and all that she has learned with those who are seeking to remember and activate their own spiritual gifts. So welcome to the show, Bobbie Jo. It's so good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Bobbie Jo and I have a little bit of a history. So we met, I was planning an event. So I've done the Star Knowledge conferences starting in 2014 through 2020 with Chief Golden Light Eagle. And we were planning an event up in Estes Park, Colorado in 2015 for the 12/12 gathering and ceremony. And so here in Colorado, I heard about this amazing shop and this amazing shop owner. So the store was called Into the Mystic, and I knew I needed to go check it out and meet the owner, who happens to be Bobbie Jo Kuhl, and just getting to know her and invited her to the Star Knowledge Conference. And she came up, she set up her vending space, and she did her first speaking presentation at that conference. And so her and I have been connected ever since, and we've been on one heck of a journey together. And we've learned so much. We've done a ton of ceremony together. We've been down countless rabbit holes together, experienced so many tricky and crazy and fun and exciting synchronicities. And we've just had a really good time and have really helped each other grow as human beings and in our own spiritual development. And so take us back to that time when you joined on with the Star Knowledge and Chief Golden Light Eagle, and let's just dive in right there.
So I started channeling those in 2014, and I had also done a past life activation or regression. And I had said something, I was like on the spaceship and it had crashed, and I said that's what happened in Roswell. And then fast forward to 2015, I was still channeling Thoth. I was really coming into activating my psychic abilities. And you came into my business and you were looking for speakers. And I started talking about all of the other practitioners that were there. And then in my head, it was just like, tell her you channel Thoth. And I just like, bleh, was like, I channel Thoth. And then you were intrigued, and so that opened things up. And I had a lot of synchronicities with Dwight Eisenhower actually at that time, and Valiant Thor, so many different things with also with Arcturian energy, recognizing what that was, or I feel like more so remembering. And I had been feeling for several years that I wanted to speak publicly too, that was something I was supposed to do. And then you gave me this opportunity, and I was so excited. And right around maybe like a couple weeks before the event, I started looking on the website at all of the different people that were going to be there. And one of the people was Laura Eisenhower. And I was like, oh, how crazy. I just had all these synchronicities with that. And then Jenny Marks, she was speaking for Arcturian energy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just heard about Arcturians. And then eventually found out that the symbols were based on the crashes from the Roswell crash. So not knowing any of this stuff going into the conference. And that activated so many different things. You and I had a lot of different synchronicities as well, like you said. And it just, I have it written down in a journal, actually on 12/13, I think, because we did it was like the 10th, 11th, and 12th, or 12th, 13th, 14th, or something like that. And it was for 12/12. And I wrote how my life completely changed that day, and that I felt like I was surrounded by this family that it's almost like I felt I had been missing, and I didn't know I had been missing it until I was there. And I actually felt this feeling of peace and at home, and not feeling crazy with all of the synchronicities, because most people are like, what are you smoking? what's wrong with you, or you're a little too out there. And this actually, I felt comfortable, and at home, I should have grabbed that journal to share that. So I'll share that with you in the future, but I have it all written down.
And if I could just pop in, I just want to mention, you mentioned the symbols that they were found at the Roswell crash sites on these bars. And, I just want to lend some reference into that. These symbols that we're referring to are the universal and spiritual laws of creation. And these symbols, they carry a message and an energy that Chief Golden Light Eagle, Lauren Zephyr, taught for over 25 years. We created these Star Knowledge conferences as a way to gather people together, such as Bobbie Jo. She mentioned we had Laura Eisenhower there, indigenous elders, medicine people, healers, authors, prophets, all walks of life that had amazing wisdom to share. And then when we would gather at these Star Knowledge conferences, it felt so much like being home with family. And once you experience it, you get kind of hooked, and it's like so warm inside your heart that you get to be with people that fully accept you. And we're all connecting dots with each other. And when we get together, I'm always having like this aha moment just from having simple conversations with people that are there, and, learning about myself and learning about new things. And so Bobbie Jo was a huge piece of bringing in some new information. And okay, so I'm going to stop there. I just wanted to slide that part in there real quick. But
I love it. I'm glad you did. I have crazy goosebumps, crazy chills. I call them big yeses. I feel though that for me, this wouldn't have really happened, or these connections wouldn't have happened if I hadn't had the experience with Thoth. And I feel that was ultimately like what really just like, boom, connected it all together. Because I probably wouldn't have spoken there had I not said that to you, because that's what intrigued you. And then from there, we all connected with Chief Gold Light Eagle, with just so countless people, and then continued to do more conferences. And I had the opportunity to start emceeing the conferences after that. So it really just unlocked a lot of doors and gates. And I feel unlocked a lot for all of us to continue our soul mission and really do a lot of work and prayers for the planet. Like we seriously did so much. I'm still amazed to this day of just like, man, we have done some cool stuff. And it was all based out of love, and for people to remember their higher vibration and to just keep that energy and positivity flowing.
The title being Bees, Trees, and Light Bodies. And so Bobbie Jo had this amazing connection with the hexagon and the star tetrahedron and the Merkaba. And so I think you said also that the Merkaba was a big piece of your initial awakening as well. So can you talk about that too?
Yes, definitely. I feel like I saw that one in a dream. A lot of things have come to me in my dreams, and then I pay attention to that and continue through the rabbit hole of those. And it was like the sacred remembering of a vehicle for higher ascension. And with activating that and activating the Merkaba and researching what it actually meant, and then meeting all these different people that had connections with it too, that provided more information, I started teaching Merkaba meditations and helping others to activate and move between different dimensions and attain other wisdom or remembrance of why we are here. And when you look at the Merkaba, if you trace around it, it creates a hexagon. And we were in, I live in South Dakota now, but we were in the Black Hills for a ceremony that you and Brian were doing. And we had gone to Crazy Horse National Monument. And I took a picture, and there was this reflection later that I saw in the mirror that was a hexagon. And I started researching hexagons, like it consumed me. And for the next 2 years, it took over. And with learning about all of the different, like how the hexagon is kind of like this ultimate symbol, bees make it instinctively. They just know that it fits everything together. If you were to put a bunch of circles together, you're going to have gaps. And it's, there's so many other elements in nature. There's a lot of different stones. Dragonflies' eyes zoomed in also are hexagons. So when you witness how it's a natural shape and things fit together better than trying to fit things into a box or trying to fit things into just a circle, it creates so much more depth.
The hexagon is like nature's perfect shape, is how they refer to
Yes.
it.
Yes, and I was actually, because I constantly just look stuff up and read about it, and was reading something again the other day about them, and yeah, it was like you're able to fit the most things. Like it makes sense. Things just, it's like the piece of the puzzle. But when we look at puzzles, puzzles are complicated. It's supposed to work your brain and put things in and into these different spaces, and you're activating things. But when you look at the hexagons, it's like life is so less stressful when everything just fits together piece by piece. And with a hexagon, you can bring that in. And then inside the hexagon, you have even more intricacies. You've got the Merkaba, you've got, you do have the cube, you've got so much sacred geometry, but ultimately it goes back to that hexagon. And through researching all of this and talking to so many different people as well, like it's not just, I didn't just come up with all of this, like it's we all worked together, I would say, to bring in these valuable pieces. But ultimately what I ended up learning with the hexagon was that it's all about coherence and coming back to that 0 point, which is in the middle of the hexagon. And coherence, it's a unified whole. And ultimately, even though we have we're all different and unique in our own ways, we can still unite and fit together and each hold a valuable piece, which creates this coherence. And so you've got all of the elements, you've got spirit, you've got the universe, you've got stardust, everything works together. And when you look at carbon is a hexagon as well. I ended up learning that on the planet Saturn, that in 1981, they discovered a hexagon on top of the planet Saturn on the North Pole. And there's actually a hexagon forming on the southern pole of Neptune, which is fascinating. And I know there's all these different, theories of what it is. And ultimately, we might not ever really know. But to me, it means a lot more of like this connection. And when you look at the placement of Saturn and Neptune, it's almost like they're kind of merging together as well, because it's the North Pole of Saturn and then the South Pole of Neptune, I'm pretty sure. And it's like they're kind of, that would fit together if you were to put the planets together. So with bees, when you look at bees and the importance of what they provide, I mean, they make this honey, it's liquid gold, the health benefits are just phenomenal. And there are people who are allergic to, different aspects of honey and bee stings and things like that. But ultimately, there's a lot of medicine that comes with that too. And sometimes I feel we're allergic to things because we're also building up more immunities and releasing other toxins. But that connection with the bees and what they actually do for our planet and helping, with pollinating all of life. And then you look at how they just instinctively know how to create these hexagons. It's fascinating because it's like, okay, we're all kind of worker bees too. Like we all bring in this essence of life as well. And it's like just doing the mission too. Like there's no question. It's like just following your intuition and trusting in what you're supposed to do and creating something beautiful from that. That importance of the bees and the fact that there is sacred geometry, that there is something to it. And then viewing like what ancient Egyptians recognized as well. They had honey, they acknowledged the bees, they acknowledged all of the sacred geometry. That's where all of this information is coming from. And recognizing how everything is, to me, it's just how everything is connected. And why are we struggling with like the mundane stuff? Why aren't we looking at the bigger picture of how this all connects?
Exactly. And one of the most fascinating things that I think I read about the bee is that when you look at it in terms of physics and how like a bumblebee can fly, it actually goes against physics because the bumblebee is so big and heavy that its wings really should not be able to lift it up to fly. And so there's a frequency that they create that matches the harmonics of Mother Earth. So essentially creating a way for them to levitate, to like hover. So they have this amazing connection with Mother Earth and, you know, using frequencies. And I think that's just such a cool analogy for like the actual light body of we as humans, because when we can be really grounded and connected and raise our vibration and our frequency to match that of Mother Earth or more, like we innately have abilities that fuel our light body once we remember that we actually have those abilities. And so like a big part of what we're doing in our remembrance and in our healing is to like remember our connection to the earth, our connection to all that is, our connection to nature, and our gifts that, you know, we've either shut off or forgotten, you know, that we're attuning our DNA to remember so that we can do this again and have, you know, telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, teleportation, levitation, you know. So I think the bee is such a cool teacher. Do you want to say more on that?
It's the reminder that the impossible is possible. Because we're taught that it's like, oh, okay, they're not supposed to be able to do that. Well, who says? Like, I feel that we all could fly, but we were told that we can't. Just the same way with levitation. I've experienced levitation. I've experienced telepathy. There's people who do the spoon bending and different things like that with, you know, I believe that's telekinesis. But even our psychic abilities, like we all have these abilities. It's just kind of unbecoming what we were taught by society. And I feel that for some reason, I mean, with great power comes great responsibility. And unfortunately, there's a lot of abuse of power. So it's a lot of times we're afraid of our own power. But if no one told us otherwise, we would just do it, just like the bumblebee. If there were, you know, scientists sitting around who are like, you aren't supposed to be able to fly. Like, okay, well, it's still doing it. And I feel that it's like, as a kid, like, you know, we all have these superhero wishes and everybody wants to be special, and we just know that there's something more to this. And I think when people recognize that you don't have to be bitten by a radioactive spider, you don't have to, you know, be some billionaire where your parents were killed, you know, like Batman, and now you have all these gadgets and superpowers, that it's pretty much like, what do you want to use your power for? And that you can do all that you've ever dreamed of, or what you really feel is in your heart. And we need more of that. We need more of I can, as opposed to I can't. And I know that can go into, you know, so many other things, and people can take it down a different rabbit hole of like, well, what about the negative aspects of that? And it's like, well, what are you choosing to feed? If you choose to feed light, and if you're choosing to use your power for the highest good of not only yourself, but for humanity and all that exists, then it's going to work. Then there's that power. Then it does flow, and it gets more powerful. And when we all join together in groups and do the conferences and do different ceremonies, that's more proof of activating that. And I would like to say, so like with the levitation that I've experienced, it wasn't what you would consider like, you know, like Angel or whatever that guy's name in Las Vegas, you know, it's not like I'm just going to go stand out in the street and start floating. What I experienced was when I was doing a session that I actually channeled from Thoth. It's called lustrating. And I do a specific energy work with people who like my intuition and my feeling will tap in to know if they're able to reach that level of doing that work. Because a lot of times we have to go through these layers and just keep unpeeling and unpeeling and get to back to our root. And then at that point, it's easier to excel with less holdbacks. So I've done a few of these sessions lustrating, and I knew that it was working for the person when I would close my eyes at the end of the session, and I have the person on a massage table, and I stand at their the base of where their head is, and I would close my eyes after doing this energy work, and when I opened them, I felt like I was 20 feet off the ground, but my feet were still touching the ground. And I realized later that energetically, that was a form of levitation. It just wasn't what I pictured. Or, you know, it wasn't like, I'll show you, I'm going to walk across this pool above the water. Like it was, but I felt it, and no one can take that away from me. And I know that that happened. However, I had to be in a specific state of mind. I had to be in a clear space and just completely open to the possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I think levitation kind of goes hand in hand with the bee and the Merkaba and the light body. And, you know, a lot of people, also, me included, experience levitation or like hovering or floating in dream time. And
Yes.
a lot of times we're experiencing our gifts while we're dreaming. And I love the analogy that I was shared. A really amazing man shared this message with me. Like, your dreams are better than a Harvard education. And so really, like, that's just that reminder of how important our dreams are, because we're doing so much. We're healing, we're envisioning, you know, we're dreaming our reality in a fourth dimensional capacity. So I know you work a lot with dreams as well.
Yes, yes. So I have 7 crystal singing bowls that I've gotten over the years, and a gong, and started really getting into sound therapy. But I wouldn't have those bowls if I hadn't had a dream about them. I had a dream about a rose crystal or rose quartz bowl, which represents the heart chakra. And in my dream, I traded it in for green. It was supposed to be green. And the next morning I got up and was like, I'm supposed to order a crystal singing bowl. And I went to look at the rose quartz and was like, wait. No, it was green. I need the actual, because in the chakras, the heart is green. And I found one, and then for 20% off, if you bought 2, you got 20% off. So I was like, well, what would make more sense? And to me, it was the solar plexus, which is yellow. So I bought those 2. Those are the first 2 bowls I ever bought. And it was so fitting. They go together so well, because I learned that when you're doing a Merkaba meditation, the bottom half is feminine, the top is masculine, and they spin opposite directions. And there's like this, it's like it cuts right in between, directly underneath the heart and directly above the solar plexus, like in that spot where it connects. And it's hard for us to give and receive ultimate love, because we have so much self-doubt and guilt from learning, and from, you know, how we were raised, and how, again, just like social conditioning. But they fit together so well. But I wouldn't have gotten these if it wouldn't have been for having that dream. And then eventually, with all of the Thoth stuff, I got, I'd already had a tattoo of Thoth, and we picked out, I don't know if I picked it out or my tattoo artist picked it out, green and gold, not realizing that those are the chakra colors, and those ended up being the first 2 bowls that I got. And then every picture I see of Thoth since then have been green and gold, is what everybody else is channeling as well. And that was really, really fascinating. But I feel that between the 2 of those, like when we have that ultimate self-love, and we have our, the solar plexus to an amplified level, then our heart can fully open, and we can experience the higher heart. And that right there, just those 2, like boom, everything lights up. It's like that beam coming down, all chakras are open, more than just the 7. It's like it all lines up. I'll show my Thoth tattoo. It's green and gold. You can see it.
I love it.
For like,
our dreams are so important. And Chief would always say, follow the dream. And so a lot of the conferences came together at a specific location based on dreams. And so one of the places that we were led to for ceremony, for Vision Quest, you know, sort of preparing for the Sundance in 2015, 2016, we made a gathering happen out at what is called Devil's Tower. And so we were kind of tasked to have 7 women, you know, be there together and tune into the energies of the Devil's Tower, and, you know, just see what we could reveal about what's really going on there. Science and geology and history tells us that this structure is formed by an ancient volcano, But when we look at the structure, it looks not just like a tower, but it looks like a stump. So a lot of people see this as a tree stump. For a lot of us, we believe that it's actually an ancient tree. And so there is our own evidence to point to the fact that, yeah, that could be a sustainable theory, because the other one is a theory as well. So we're just looking and exploring, what really is this? And so we look at the columns of those rocks, those lines of rocks within the tower or the stump, and they actually hold the shape of the hexagon. And so here's this correlation once again to the hexagon, the Merkaba, the light body. And boy, did we have an amazing time spending time out there and asking, because a lot of times what they do with these sacred sites or these PowerPoints on the earth, really special places, they'll give it a strange name so that people kind of veer away from it, kind of like demonize it. And so to give this structure, this beautiful sacred place, the name Devil's Tower, it's automatically like a repulsive type of resistance, that gets you looking at something other than what it is. And so we wanted to get underneath that. We wanted to find out, well, what's the divine aspect of this beautiful sacred site? And for us, being this giant tree that once was, which is now just a stump, we learned just about how much we are super connected to all that is. And just like the bee and the honeycomb, everything fitting together so perfectly. And how the tree has the roots and then connects to all the other trees on the planet, and the grasses, and how the grasses move in the wind. And it's just this beautiful vision of how we are so much more connected than we ever really pay attention to. And so I know you were there and you were channeling as well. And so do you remember some of the messages or anything that you want to share that you remember from our time there together?
Yeah, it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. And it's interesting because I live close to there now, which is fascinating because I didn't plan that then. I remember I had a vision when so we all went up to sing songs, Lakota songs. It was the full moon. And we were all up there. We were offering tobacco. We were doing prayers, just singing, having this amazing spiritual connection. And I had a vision of, I basically saw like the kneecaps of giants. And it's like I could feel like how tall just up to the kneecap, how like I could feel them walking near there. And it was like, oh, well, this would make more sense if this had been, a giant tree. It's like petrified wood. And it resonated. It felt very connected. And my son, actually, who's given me a lot of messages too, when he was younger, I asked him what he thought, not saying any of this, not telling him about a tree, not saying anything. I was just like, what do you feel this used to be? And I could tell he was tapping in. And he said that there was like a giant that came over and like cut down the tree. And then that was like part of it, like where all the rocks were. And it was just interesting for him at, I don't know, he was like 10 or something like that, 9 or 10, for him to just pick up on that without hearing anybody else say that. It was all within my thoughts. And I do feel that there was something with it. And we did that beautiful ceremony. I think there were like 22 of us women. And we all came up with different names of what we felt that it would be called, or kind of what spoke to us. Not necessarily that it took one name or anything like that, but we were trying to figure something else out besides Devil's Tower. And there was like a softness to everybody's feelings. I know mine, I had felt a celestial tower. And it's funny because I didn't really know, like I knew the word celestial and it's pretty, but I didn't really know at the time what it meant. And since then it's like gotten stronger and stronger, and having to do with the heavens and having to do with the stars and that connection of with the constellations as well. And as a side note, when you look at like the pyramids all over the world and all of the sacred sites, they all coincide with like the equinoxes, solstices, constellations, so many different things. And there's a lot of alignment of like how Pleiades lines up directly above Devil's Tower at a certain time of year. I believe that's when we were there. And then you also have the Big Dipper, so Ursa Major, that lines up with it as well. And I find it fascinating that this is a natural structure that lines up. It wasn't a man-made structure. Like, so what's, I don't know, kind of like, what's that about? Like, I think there's definitely something to that. And the connections that we all made, and the ceremony that we did, it was just so peaceful. I've never camped for that long before. That was 9 days in a row of just being there in nature, and none of the distractions that we have, you know, living in cities, and really tapping in to know that there's a higher frequency going on there as well, and that it's more than just some rock.
Yeah. And, you know, for me being there too, I was doing my vision quest, and you know, being part of that ceremony of tuning into, you know, what is the name that this tree wants to be known as in this lifetime. And, you know, through that process of being together and praying about it and meditating, and several people came through with the name, you know, that encompassed celestial. And which it was so beautiful, because kind of just to sum up that whole event and that gathering, we found the name that she wanted to be known for in this lifetime, and it ended up being Celestial Portal of Creation Woman. And so we took that into our Sundance ceremony, and that became the name of the Sundance tree that particular year. And so I feel like a lot of the work that we've done over the years is really actively re-energizing our remembrance, and it has helped for a lot of people to awaken to greater understandings, and have given us new eyes to see things with new clarity and in new ways. And I love, you know, in this ascension process, you know, Mother Earth is doing her ascension process. We as humans are having to do our own ascension process so that we can still remain on a vibrational match to be here on this planet. And so there's so much that's being revealed. And you know, it's shaking things up. It's part of what is creating chaos. It's like the tower card, you know, like something has to crumble in order for us to see what's really true. And it's challenging because, you know, it really makes us kind of have to accept that maybe what we have been told for so long is actually not true. And this is being one of them, that, you know, they call it a myth and a hoax that this is a giant tree. But, you know, I think it's all up to us to have our own discernment, and, you know, just, you know, tune into it, look at it, spend time meditating, and see what you come up with for your own understanding, and see what your actual truth is around what this beautiful sacred site is. So,
yes. Have you watched the new that Graham Hancock series on Netflix?
I've been watching a few of the episodes. Does he actually go there too?
He doesn't, but like, I feel with what you're saying, it's like I felt that for a long time, that we have not been told the truth. I feel it in my soul. And sure enough, look at all of the lies that we've been told that actually now we know were lies. So what else have we been lied to about? He doesn't go there specifically. He did go to Serpent Mound.
Yeah.
And there was that whole issue there. He's like banned from Serpent Mound, which is crazy. And all the ceremony that we've done there. And then, but just everything, he goes through and he pokes holes in all of the BS. And there's a lot of people that don't like it, because I feel people are afraid of what they don't know and what they don't understand. And if you come in and you start poking holes in everything, then it's like, oh my gosh, my whole life is a lie. Like everything, it's like,
it's really easy.
And it's
like cognitive dissonance, like, oh no, you can't tell me that that's not true, because I've believed that my whole life, you know, you can't go there with me. And so that's
And, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, it's just like, that's the crux of what the ascension is like, we've got to poke holes in our external world, and also do that same exercise within ourselves, do the internal work and rediscover, like, what have I been lying to myself about? And so it's like
Yes.
the whole cosmic dance of the external and internal worlds really mirroring each other. And so, it really is like, it's helping to bring the unconscious to a consciousness. And in that, like, we're expanding the realm of the subconscious, which encompasses all of these different realities and these, I like to look at it like that's like the place where all the galaxies are, within and without. And so, it really, like, it expands and it brings a focus into, like, we really are so cosmic and so connected on so many levels, not just with what's here in this reality of our 3D world on Mother Earth, but it's like, oh, so expansive. And, all the different star nations and star realms and everything that is us, it's within us. So,
Well, and I feel too that, like, with some of the holes that he's poking is just how advanced these civilizations were when we've been taught that they didn't know any better and that we're the advanced civilization, yet we still can't make a perfect pyramid. It's like, okay, well, we haven't been doing that stuff. And I feel like things got dumbed down for some reason. I don't know who they are, but I know there's a they, and I've been saying that for years, and I know a lot of us feel it, but it's like something doesn't want that energy that existed before with the advancements. And using the full potential, the full capacity of your brain and full capacity of your entire being and your aura, and having all these different powers, and recognizing that they're like, advanced civilizations have been around for a really long time. And it's another reminder too that it's like, wow, if they created that, then look at what we can create. I feel that from learning all of this stuff, and with the hexagon and with the Merkaba and with everything that has been going on with all the spirituality, that really confirmed that we are moving towards the golden age. And based on the research that I've done, we're moving more into that in 2032. And when you look at when the pyramids, when they say they were built, or like what they're finding out now, like them being older, that was the golden age. Like, there was a higher vibration and a higher way of thinking. And so that's why there's all this chaos now, because we are moving into that. And like you were saying with the Tower card, like, things do have to crumble. It's you have to kind of tear it down and start over to create new birth. And it comes, with storms. Like, after the destruction comes a lot of new creation, a lot of new ways of seeing things. And as hard as it is, it's like we get impatient, and it's like, no, I want this now. I want the awesomeness now. But it's like we're in the thick of it in this moment. And when you think about it, 2032 is 10 years away, actually almost 9. And that's really not that far now. And, it seemed so far away 10 years ago, but it's like, no, we are, I firmly believe that we are moving back to that. We're just having to shake things up and get rid of all the BS right now.
right.
And that's why these documentaries are coming out. And that's why there's so much more information coming out of all of the lies that we've been told. It's like, this cannot exist anymore. It's been holding people back.
Literally holding on by a thread. And so that's why we've seen so much censorship and, deplatforming, is because, the lies can't be sustained, but they're sure trying to cover, keep their narrative going. But it just can't sustain itself anymore, because I feel like we have reached a tipping point, or are just about to, like, do the full tipping point moment. And for whatever reason, something popped in that I'm supposed to read a small passage from the 1313 book, since we're talking about the trees and, just this cosmic dance and, our connection to all that is. And so this is a message from the 1313 book and the message is Eu. And these are the cells of the trees and the voice of the ancient. It has been said that each one is a cell in the great being of this universe, and that the universes, too, are small parts in the land of the grandmothers and grandfathers that live under the shade of this giant tree. Understand the 4 enzymes of soil, water, flame, breath. that these are active principles with spectrums of understanding of communication within them. And within these four basic, all other life revolves, evolves, and completes. There is a great world of essence where spirit is known. Spirit thinks, spirit loves, spirit is, and the vibration from that potency is again the material living that we have experienced that we are. And so to remember the heart connection, the sacral connection, the pineal connection to the tree of love, the great tree of paradise, that is the ascension tree, that each cell is guarded by the waters, tended by the spiders, blessed by the hands of love, and fed through the creator's own song, Eu. And so
That's awesome.
isn't that beautiful? And, you know, it's like, Eu, like, it's like a tone. And, you know, so can you talk a little bit about like frequencies and music and like the healing, the sound healing, and what you're doing when you're doing that work, and how that can like reattune us back into these remembrances?
That's why a lot of us, we have to shake up energy. And like if you were to chant like "Ew," any type of chanting, any type of using your voice helps activate your cells and your DNA as well. That's why when people are super stressed out, they want to scream at the top of their lungs, because like something has to shake up. Like you've got to get that energy out somehow. But it brings us back to, okay, well, how can we do this in a way where we're not hurting our throat and screaming and still feeling that kind of negativity afterwards? Like, how can we focus on breathing and chanting, singing, anything that makes us feel a little more positive and more light. And so with sound and frequency, everything that I've experienced is, you know, there's different energies with it, and it's quantum physics. So if you walk up and do like the nails on a chalkboard, like most people, some people it doesn't bother them, but most people are like, like, or there's just certain songs where it's like, I don't like this, like it's not resonating within you. And just because you might not like the type of music, you know, resonate with somebody else. But I feel that it's actually activating all of our cells, helping to release cellular memory that's no longer serving us, and bringing us into just so much of a lighter space. And so whether that be sound bowls, whether it be singing, whether it be drums, whether it be the guitar, like any type of vibration of sound shakes up energy, and it's going to activate things and put them into a new perspective. And I mean, we've done that. We do that with all the ceremony. Like most cultures, there is music, there is singing, there's dancing. It's like it all just goes together. It makes sense. Even if you're just patting your hands on the ground, or, you know, like on your lap or something like that. Like it's just, it feels better than just being stagnant and just totally being still. And a lot of people think too, like meditation is where you're just sitting, not thinking about anything, just breathing. And it's like, no, like meditation, like you can do that by chanting, you can do it by singing, you can, like when you think about everything that you're activating when you're using the sound and vibration, it's everything within you. It's activating all of your chakras, it's activating your lungs, it's activating your diaphragm, it's causing your organs to get some new energy and move around. Like it's every single thing in your entire being that it activates.
Okay, so do you remember we discovered like there's actually scientific proof that the tone of A, if you play that tone, it can literally break up cancer cells.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of when we were talking about this.
Super powerful. Like even just the tone, working with
a certain decibel, and it was almost at the decibels that we wouldn't be able to hear, like the human ear wouldn't be able to hear that, but there's still like a frequency. And yeah, we watched the cells, the scientist or doctor who had figured this out, it was like 50,000 decibels or something crazy. Yeah, the key of A, the cancer cells were actually just like totally like just disintegrating, like splitting apart.
Yeah.
Like it could not live in that vibration. And I've learned that a lot, you know, like disease is dis-ease. And when you're listening to something that you like, or you're playing music that makes you feel good, you're not like, God, I feel like crap. You actually like you feel better. It's like, what can we do more to feel better? And music is, to me, undeniable. One of the things that we can do.
Yeah, Eagle would talk about, our chief Lauren Zephyr would talk about, music for him was like his greatest protection. So whatever art, whatever, passion, whatever you resonate with on the highest level, when you do that, you're literally untouchable. And it truly is your greatest protection, because you are truly in your state of bliss, which nothing can penetrate. And, I love it when we do ceremony, or we're, we've been invited to speak at different conferences. We were up at James Gilliland's Isetti Ranch and playing on the big drum and singing some of these old Lakota songs. People would come up and they've got tears in their eyes. They're like, I've never heard this song before, but I know this song. And, so these songs that we sing, they come from the stars, they come from the Pleiadians. And they, when we sing these songs, they're actually doing something. We're calling in support, we're calling in assistance, we're calling in healing, we're calling in those beautiful spirits that can support us and help us with our prayers. And it's so powerful. And so, Bobbie Jo, you're an amazing singer, and you received the name Wachakpe, was it with Wachakpe Ho Washdewi? Was it
Star woman with a beautiful voice.
Star woman with the beautiful voice. That's right. So Wachakpe Ho Washdewi, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so you've written some amazing songs over the last few years, and I don't know how you feel about it right now, but would you be willing to sing your I Glow song for us?
Yes. Yes. I've got to tune it up. I brought my guitar in too. I've been tuning to the frequency of 432. So there's not a lot of scientific research on it yet, but from what the studies that I have found, it did, like, playing in this frequency did cause people to feel a little bit more calmer and more relaxed than just the standard 440 tuning.
Yeah.
Feeling strong, fill up my cup. Because of you, I know. Because of me, I grow. You ignite the inner pilot light in my soul. Because of you, because of me. I grow. We ignite the inner pilot light in our soul. Because of you, because of me, we go. Because of us, we grow. Because of you, I grow.
Oh my God. You always bring tears to my eyes, Bobbie Jo. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing that song and your heart and your wisdom today. And do us a favor and tell us where people can find out more about you, and tell us about Stardust Fest before we wrap up today.
Awesome, thank you. So I am living in Rapid City, South Dakota. I actually am setting up a place where I live now in the basement to be able to offer my energy sessions again, tarot readings, psychic readings, past life activations, sound therapy, all kinds of stuff. I'm getting more into palm reading and all that fun stuff too. And I also do astrology, birth chart readings, and natal compatibility birth chart readings. And so you can find me on Facebook, Bobbie Jo Kuhl, BOBBIEJOKUHL. You can friend request me. I'm also reopening my Into the Mystic Healing and Arts Facebook business page. I don't have a website right now for that, but that used to be my business, and I've got like 4,000 followers on there, so I want to keep it. So I'm going to start posting on there again. On Instagram, it's Into the Mystic Healing. You can find me there. And then for Stardust Fest, it's an event that I created with inspiration from you, from Chief Golden Lady Eagle, from all of the experiences that I've had, and wanting to just help raise the vibration as well. I felt called to do it. So I created this event. I had my first event in Deadwood, South Dakota in March of this year. And then I had one in Golden, Colorado in July. And I'm having my next one April 29th in Deadwood, South Dakota, again at the Deadwood Mountain Grand. So the website for that is StardustFest.com. I'll be updating that soon as well. So I'm definitely looking for vendors. I've got a bigger space this time. The whole goal is to encompass everybody's gifts that they bring to help raise the vibration, whether that be art, making jewelry, making soaps, just anything you're creating, any type of creation, and music. Like, I mean, there's just so many things that people create, and it makes us happy to share those. Like, what good is it if we're not sharing that with humanity? And just continuing to raise the vibration is the whole goal and point of that, and keep the love and positivity flowing. Yeah.
Thank you. I love you so much. And
I love you too.
Really enjoyed our time together today. And we'll bring you back on again as we get closer to your event. Maybe we can, showcase some of your creators, your artists, and things like that. Give people a sense of like who might be there, and what you're going to be up to as well. And yeah, and so for me, you can find me at starknowledge.org or EdenArising.com. And I'm really excited about this channel, Moons of Ascension. It's a way for me to continue to bring the work forward and keep the legacy alive of what was taught to me through initiations and ceremonies, and having Chief Golden Light Eagle as my intercessor for ceremony with Sundance and Vision Quest. A lot of what I do is based on his teachings with the books, the symbols books, and the star knowledge. And so it's been really fun to keep that going. I'm going to start another 13 moon offering starting in January. So if you want to learn more about what star knowledge is, work with the Earth Star calendar, and if you've got the books and you're kind of like, oh, I've got the book, now what do I do? This is a great place to come just to learn some ways and of using it in your life. And like Bobbie Jo said, it's all about shining our gifts and living in our bliss. And for me, this is one tool that is such a powerful way for us to really embody that work in our life and bring it forward in who we are. So anyway, yeah, so on that note, thank you so much for joining Bobbie Jo and me today on Ascension. Enjoy your holiday season, and we look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care.
Now, what we're experiencing is this Merkaba, this great wheel of the 12 powers of the universe that have to do with that which is within man, that which is within woman and child are governed in the center of the Merkaba. So underlying is the Anta Karana, and as such there is a cosmic dance of the spirit and the mystery. That which is of great light, that which is of great darkness are the two sides of the donut shape, the donut hole, the cosmic ring. So that, just as the fairy ring and the puff of smoke rises, and just as the children dance, the maypole in both directions, so does the energy of the universe move as light in a ring, then opens the center point like a coin facing the light and like its flip side facing the dark. Now, so it is truly, and it is so it truly is that dark is light and light is dark when inner impetus is known as the spark of joy. Here we come back unto this word. It is the key of the merging of the third and the fourth and the fifth worlds. It is the spark of the hummingbird. It is lightning flash, and it's the clarity of the eagle. It's the laughter of the jaguar, the puma, the lynx. So, Itakuye Oyasi, this is the 13th emerging dimension yang, known as the Ark of Christ Consummation. Relatives. And so it is that this Chawi Chasha, this Wakawi Chasha, gives thanks to the circle for patience, consistency, showing up, forbearance, laughter, and also of abundance. And so it is that in bringing forth the tree, that the tree within all grow, flower, fruit, and in abundance, in life expanding, achieving this kingdom come, sacred will being done, right here, just as you know where. Mitakuye Oyasi.